back to the channel, guys. Sam and Logan. Today we have the all-new Stark Varg. This is the 80 horsepower. It's got the 18-inch rear wheel, the kickstand, set up for our weight. I weigh around 185 pounds without gear, and then also I'm about a 5'11", so kind of fits Logan and I. Really excited. This is our first ride impressions. We're going to tell you what we love and also what we hate. If you're not already subscribed, hit the subscription button. We got a ton of content this summer. We're really excited. We're gonna be riding the crap out of this bike. We've got some guys that are professional level riders gonna ride out on the desert. We're gonna see how long the battery lasts on the desert, motocross track, and single track. We might even take it on some gnarly single track like hard enduro stuff. The number one question I get is, where is that trail located? Instead of asking some random person on the internet where that trail is located. Now you guys can find out exactly where that trail is located by downloading the OnX Off-Road map system. Now you can get it on your phone, your tablet, or your computer. I'm telling you guys, this is game changer. Now, before you click away, there is a discount code. You get a 20% off if you use my code. Check out the link in the description. All right, Logan, here we are. What's your first impressions?
First impressions of this bike is that it is a full-size bike,
Yeah.
which is huge. We've had the free ride previously, which is just not full-size.
It's like a weird hybrid between a trials bike and a full-size.
Exactly. And this is a full-size, real, legit mountain bike, or dirt bike. Not mountain bike.
It feels like a mountain bike because it doesn't make any noise.
It feels like, I ride it like it's a mountain bike. It is incredibly powerful, is probably the first thing. Is the amount of power is insane. Far beyond any dirt bike that I personally have ridden, this bike is extremely powerful.
Yeah, and we've been riding it at 48 horsepower, and it feels like the 450. It has a ton of power. The power is incredibly linear. You can ride it fast, slow, any speed, and it just hauls the mill.
Yeah. To turn a corner and be able to just light up the tire in that way would take so much, like full throttle and pop the clutch, and that even then you would not be able to get the amount of wheel spin that you get at any time, really, that you want it.
Yeah, and the crazy thing about the power is, I agree 100% with Logan, the power is insane. The crazy thing is the adjustability. So you have 5 different preset settings that you can flip through on the fly with an up and down button that's on the handlebars, so you can change the power as you're riding. You can go down to 12, I think they said, horsepower, and then you can also, I think we have it at like 48, 52, 58, and you can go all the way to the 80 horsepower if you would like as well. But that adjustability is amazing. So depending on the terrain, you can shift up and down, kind of like, to change your power, almost like you're shifting. But you don't really need to. But we realize you can also ride it super slow on any setting. So if it's on the 48 horsepower, like you can just, and it does nothing. So it's really controlled power. But the ability to adjust, it's better than any dirt bike that we've ever ridden. Better than the Yamaha tuner app. Even our free ride had just 3 settings, and you couldn't even change those settings. So you can change the horsepower and also the regen as well.
Yeah, and that's at the same time as I say that it is incredibly powerful. It's incredibly tameable. Yeah. By being able to bring it down to low double-digit horsepower and just crawl it. You can just crawl, even when you have it on some of the higher horsepower settings. If you've got it, mapped out and you're on 5, but you just barely touch the throttle, you can crawl and just do stuff that would take a lot of feathering with a clutch.
Yeah, so it's a totally different experience. That leans into, what about the suspension and balance of the bike? What's your first impression on the Stark Varg suspension?
So the suspension initially I thought was pretty, it feels harsh, but I think a lot of that was, you hear it. Like you hear the suspension compressing, and so I thought that it was harsh. But when you ride it back to back with other bikes, I got into a good rhythm, and if you can roll and float and really kind of mold with a bike, the suspensions, I think it's really good for how heavy it is. It's still
267 pounds.
you still feel the weight. There's no denying you will feel the weight. You will feel it impact. But if you can modulate your power, that was the kind of like the magic sauce for me, is on impact. If you can modulate the power and get that wheel spinning, because otherwise what's happening, you're getting that regen, and if you're not modulating the throttle, you're stopping the back tire and you're getting all that weight just coming to a dead stop. So I found the suspension was really good if you're modulating and riding it right. But it's heavy. It's still heavy, and there's just no denying that it's a heavy bike.
Yeah, and I felt like the suspension was plenty soft, almost too soft. But we haven't really pushed it super hard, and I haven't bottomed it out yet. It is really strange to be able to hear everything that's going on the bike. I kept thinking we had a flat tire.
Flat tire.
But so when you're riding it, the balance of it, you feels really well balanced. So like you don't feel unbalanced. The weight doesn't throw you off. But
no stink bug.
But you definitely feel the weight. The crazy thing is I feel like because the cornering's super smooth, because you can just roll on the throttle. There's no like pulling the clutch in halfway and and then burning through the corner. It's like kind of trying with the clutch, trying to keep that power to keep grip, so you're not doing this and just whipping your bike out. So the smooth cornering ability is better. Like if I make mistakes, it rewards you better than a bike with the clutch. So I feel like I'm faster on it. Now there's some reasons having a clutch, like a hard enduro situation, pivot turns, all sorts of stuff, and I'm used to it. So I feel like there's still some learning curve that I would love to see. We do a time trial to see if we're really fast or not on it, which we'll do. But overall, the handling and the balance of the bike, I would say it's really good. I wouldn't say it's great, but I'd say it's really good.
Yep, I agree.
We're going to talk about the things we love and the things that we hate. You've stuck around this far, so we're going to first talk about what we loved about it. And we kind of already mentioned that, but we're going to kind of hammer through that. Then we're going to talk about the things we don't like about it, at least our first impressions. What do you love about it?
I love how much control you have with this bike. From going really, really slow, like we talked about earlier, being able to just crawl the bike. I feel like I can balance, I can do lock turns, I feel like a hero on this bike. Now, that could get you into trouble really quick. I feel like you could really, and it has, and we'll get into my dislikes later, but the controllability of the bike is awesome. I love being able to control the power delivery, like when you get more power. So if you want to start slow and then fake shift
to a higher power,
you can do that, and that way you're not lighting up the tire too quickly before you're actually getting that momentum going. So that is got to be my number one thing, is just the ability to control. And a lot of that comes in the phone itself, seeing the data, seeing and when I say control, it's all the control, being able to see the maps, being able to control how much regen you have, being able to control all of those things. I love that.
I absolutely agree. I love the power. So the power of this bike, the ability to ride it in any of its different settings, so anyone can ride this bike. It's super docile, or it can turn into the most powerful kill you bike in the world. It has and everything in between. So to me, I love that, because different terrain, out here in the desert, you can get away with more of the power. You have the longer stretches. Or if you're not feeling it, you can drop it down a little bit and make it a docile 250 type power versus a 450 or CR 500 power, whatever you want. It is such a rideable bike. I think that's the best way I can describe it, and I love that about it. Now let's talk about what we hate. Logan, what do you hate about this bike?
There's a list, and we'll start with some of the petty things to start. The first one is the charging stand. Don't love the way the cord and cable, and we've got some ideas. I think they sell like an independent cable that we're looking into. The amount of adapters we had to buy to get out to charge it. Those are kind of the smaller things, and some people might argue they're bigger. We even bought a generator for times like this when we're out here.
6,500 watt.
Yeah, like that's more on the I would still consider that petty. Some people may think that's more a deal breaker. The kickstand is probably one of the next on the list.
Oh my gosh, I hate the kickstand so bad.
The kickstand is just,
it leans over too far.
Yep.
And what else?
Auto kicks back up. As soon as you lift it, it'll swing back up.
So most dirt bikes, you know, with the spring, it's basically you kick it down and it locks out, and then obviously it has a spring to bring it back with this. But with this one, the spring just pulls back. So it's like, you know, if you don't get it just right, you lean it over, all of a sudden it'll just kick back, and you're like, you don't drop a bike, you know, and it's 270 or 267 pounds, which is heavy.
It's heavy.
So, you know, I hate that, and that's the other thing I hate. I hate how heavy it is. You know, when you're riding it, you don't feel it as much, but you definitely feel it. Like, I definitely think that that's a factor. I think the more I ride it, the more I'll get used to it, so it won't be a bigger factor that, you know, but we're used to some of these light two-strokes. Like, we've been, all last year, we rode 125 two-strokes. Yeah. Talk about a mountain bike with the motor. Like, they were so fun, you know, it's so fun to ride. But, you know, the power kind of overlooks that. So to me, it's like you have unlimited amount of power. So it's like the weight's not nearly as concerned, but I do hate that. Yeah. What else do we hate?
Well, before we get to the number one thing, that it's actually more of a wish list, but it's definitely something that this bike needs. I want to talk about the fact that I hate Android, and I'm going to get a whole bunch of comments, and everyone's going to rave. And look, if you use Android, great. But when you are with a platform, my opinion is stick with the platform. I don't care what that is, stick with the platform. And I would love to be able to run whatever phone I personally have with the bike.
Yeah, why can't we just have an app that we download?
It is an app.
Because they've already built it, and then it's like we can run it. It's just a Bluetooth connection. Maybe down the road, Varg's going to be able to have that, which I would foresee that might be down the road. But yeah, like, why do I need a special phone?
I mean, it's cool they give you the phone. I've got my own opinions on Android, and it just doesn't run the same way that I would like it to, and some of the weird things, the amount of updates, and some of the things that it does. It's just annoying how, you know, it's slow to load. So there's times when I want to jump on and go, and it's got to re-log in and authenticate, and it's doing a whole bunch of things that if it was my own personal device, I would have that stuff done. It wouldn't just be sitting on the bike waiting. So maybe that's a use thing, is you know, take the phone off and use it daily to keep it updated.
Yeah,
but
I mean, it's like every time we go to use it after it's sat for a week, there's an update. I mean, the cool thing is the app is pretty good. Like, you know, to be able to change all the modes, all the stats and everything, and it also tracks like your ride. So like, we have all of our ride and our data, how much power we use, how fast we went, the distance and stuff, and you know, so there's some cool things to that. I think that they could develop, because it's an app that could just be really awesome.
Well, and we're some of the first ones riding this bike. So the app is still infant, you know, it's still in early, early stages. So by the time this gets out to the masses, I would expect, and I hope, that it just continues to improve, which is such an awesome thing. I mean, how many dirt bikes do you have that are in your garage that just sitting there get better over time?
Oh, for sure. And it's like it can push, just like Tesla, you know, they can push updates to their car over Wi-Fi, and you don't do anything. So they're constantly updating, and Start does push updates to their bikes. And so that's a really cool way to be able to keep, you know, hopefully as they learn more, they can make the battery more efficient, everything work better. And so that's a really cool feature. That's actually not even a hate, right? We're we're going back into the stuff we like, you know. So,
caveats to everything.
You know, but it's in its infancy. It should be able to be an app that you can download on your personal phone, and you don't have to use their phone.
Yep.
All right, let's talk about the number one. I actually not 100% sure what Logan's going to say. I think I do, and it might be one of my, I think, worst. But look, the things I hate the most about it.
The number one thing, and again, this is more of a wish list, and there are other bikes that are doing this and developing the technology, and it needs the ability to modulate the power. You need a lever.
We need a clutch.
Need a clutch. Faux clutch, lever, whatever you want to call it. I mean, one of the things, like I said before, just, I mean, it's funny when we do the phantom shifting or we're phantom grabbing for the clutch. Those are funny things, but there's times when I've come up to the group and I was in the back and leaned onto the handlebars, which I would normally do, and have the clutch, you know, fully engaged. This doesn't have that, and so when I leaned on, I just blipped the throttle, and I was in the third setting at 48 horsepower or whatever it was, and nearly sent the bike flying.
And the other thing is, like, you know, whiskey throttle is going to happen so much more, and Logan's exactly right. This is the thing I hate the most, is no clutch allows for like nice, smooth, easy riding, but it doesn't allow you to really control the bike like you would like. Because basically when you do this, if you're using this to modulate your power, your wrist is going clear down here, which is whiskey throttle. So if you get shoved back like you do with whiskey throttle,
you have no way to reclaim.
You have no ability to reclaim and get the bike back under control. So the other hard part's like if you're doing hard enduro stuff, which I know this isn't the bike that they built this more for motocross, but anything like that is hard enduro. Like I can't do pivot turns because it's like basically with a pivot turn, you're used to, you know, put in at a certain RPM where the bike's not going to kill, and then pull the clutch in, and then pop the clutch, and then pull the clutch in, and then keep the power right where you want it, and then move the bike how you need to be able to get that wheel. Now I'm having to jam on the throttle and then let go and then kind of do this to keep it going versus this. Now obviously that's a technique thing. I could definitely learn how to do it better, but it's not ideal for lots of reasons because you're just using the throttle and you're wrapping it down like this. And same thing with cornering and the stuff, like to not be able to corner, you get a ton of wheel spin. So we're constantly spinning the wheel, which makes the bike harder to control.
And part of the reason for all of that, why we want that, is to be more similar to other bikes, right? The whole reason we got the foot brake over the hand brake is because we want to be able to transition. We ride lots of different bikes. We want to get as many people into riding. This would be a great bike to help people get into riding. It's less intimidating. There's no noise, all of those things. However, if you're not teaching some of the fundamentals like clutch control, I feel like there's a little bit of a swing and a miss there. I think it's a missed opportunity to make it, because you don't have to. I mean, if it's all electronic anyway, you don't even have to use it. Like a rider that didn't ever want to use it wouldn't have to use it. But for people that are trying to learn control, it would be an awesome tool. And I just think that's why it's number one for me. Is I think it's a missed opportunity, and honestly a safety thing for us some of the times, but I think it's a missed opportunity and a potential huge improvement in the future that they could add.
Like we mentioned, we're really excited to ride this. We're gonna continue to do it. We're gonna have you know, more of a beginner rider. We're like intermediate to advanced rider, and then we're gonna have an advanced to expert level, and then we're gonna have a pro level rider ride this. So like we said, we're gonna ride it on like mountain single track out here in the desert, and hopefully even the motocross track. That's gonna be the last because there's already a lot of content, but we're gonna definitely do that. Gonna do a time trial of like how long it, you know, out in the desert or single track, how long the battery is gonna last, so that we can really get some real world numbers. And then the other thing we're gonna do to this, we're probably just throw some hand guards on it. And then, you know, I hear that it comes with these really weird tubes. We haven't popped them yet, but we're gonna probably put our own tires and probably tubeless or moose bibs or something like that on that, so that we can ride it how we'd like. So, and probably put like a gummy hybrid tire that we, you know, like a IRCVE 33S, which will just tear up. So really excited, guys. Stay tuned for that. Comment below what we got right and what we got wrong, what you would love to see with the Stark Varg, and thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.